I'm Elspeth Leiden, the director of Plum Library. I've been here for 5 years as the director, and before that I spent 10 years as assistant director. One of the things I discovered while I was here was a very old quilt, and I found the history of it was that it was made in the 70s for the Bicentennial. It's been kept away, wrapped up, and in storage. Periodically someone would ask about it, we would take it out, and somebody would look at it and we'd put it away again. In the last 6 months we've set up a project with Mary Rosa and a number of other people who have been researching the quilt, the people who made it, and what was on the quilt. And we're able to tie what is currently happening to a number of places into what did happen when the quilt was built by the members of the committee who put it together for the Friends, and what had happened before that for that to be of interest. And right now we're working to pull all of that together. When we're finished, we'd like to be able to have a filmed record as well as a written record. And I live near Jones Family Valley Farm, where they pick strawberries, and this is my quilt donation. It represents the field where the strawberries are grown. There's a pond on the field, and these are the delicious strawberries grown by the Joneses. I remember when there weren't any pick-your-own-berry fields there. I've lived in Shelton since 1960. And I believe it was Terry Jones that started the Pick Your Own Fields, and I'm very happy he did because I love strawberries. I heard about the quilt, I believe, through the Friends of the Library. I was an active member at that time and had never quilted before, but thought I'd like to try it, and I'm glad I did because I'm proud to have this on record for the city of Shelton and for the memories of the quilt for the Bicentennial. My name is Georgia Kears, and I quilted the Mulford House, otherwise known as the Tomlinson House, with a great white oak tree in front of it. When I quilted this applique, this patch on the quilt, I was a relative newcomer to the state of Connecticut, so I wasn't too aware of the history. But this particular house was at the end of my development, and I did pass it every day. The house, the way it looks here on the patch, still has the same front porch and the same black shutters.
Okay, my name is Don Tedesco. I'm representing Christine Tedesco, my wife, who is deceased. She made this plum library. Married.
Hi, my name is Kathy Tedesco, and my mother's Christine, and she had a great interest in the library due to the structure, I think, and the oldness looking of the building. Mom was extremely talented. She did not only did quilting, but she liked to be involved in the community activities, especially with the library. She also was a great artist. She also did macrame. Anything you wanted sewn a button, you didn't have to go out and buy another shirt. She was there for you for everything. Very talented lady.
My name is Patricia Tedesco, and my mom did the Plum Library. I remember her admiring the architecture, the old architecture, and enjoying it so much. And you can see the love that she put into that. I mean, all the detail in there is just wonderful. She was also a great painter. My mom was a good, very good painter, and a wonderful person when it came to sewing. She was just excellent.
I made the school. I spent 8 years of my life there, my young life, and there were 4 rooms, 4 grades in each room, 2-room school, and it's still existing, but it's a civic club now.
So what is it?
It's an out.
It really is an out. They said that earlier. Oh, no, you can't.
One for boys and one for girls.
I'm going to ask you that on the air.
Hello, my name is Janet Van Eiderstein. I made this quilt patch of Baird's Sawmill. There were a group of us who met once a week and worked on our patchwork blocks, which represented an historic site in Shelton to celebrate the Bicentennial. We did this over a period of 3 or 4 months, and the blocks were all sewn by hand. I was interested in some of the history of Shelton and its buildings at the time, and found the fact that there were so many sawmills in the Huntington section fascinating, and chose one that I could find a picture of to make the block.
My name is Florence Bialik. I used to live in Shelton, but have since moved to Ansonia. I heard about this quilt probably at the library because I used to come as a patron quite often. And the girl who was, we were each supposed to do one quilt, but the girl that was supposed to do this one, she never came back. So I said, I'll do that. I see that Dan every day when I go for a walk with the kids. So meanwhile, we gathered up different materials. I sew, so I had a lot of scraps at home that I used to make the quilt square. And we had a teacher that came from Hamden, I think, and she guided us, told us the size she wanted to make the whole big quilt, and she helped us along the way. I picked this. This is the Indian Well. This is the falls at Indian Well State Park. We used to hike up here quite often when the children were small. So it was always a soft spot. And we were always interested in the Indian legend where they jumped off, the lovers jumped off and committed suicide because their tribes wouldn't let them marry. So, and I just thought it would be neat. Mostly upholstery material. My mother-in-law used to do that type of work for a living. And she gave me scraps. So this is, as you can see, it looks like upholstery material. And the other is just calico that I had.
Right.
Hi, my name is Helene Piccata. I'm a Shelton resident for over 50 years. I got involved with the quilting through different medias and maybe an organization I belong to. And I thought it would be something I would be interested in working on. I hadn't done too much quilting, but I did enough to get by. Most of the people selected old-time Shelton, but I thought, well, the Shelton High School teams were very good at one time or another, and so I thought I would like to do a patch of Shelton. We did bring some of our own fabrics, and the director, the woman in charge, brought some fabric also, and she helped all of us to coordinate what we wanted to do. And at the time, Shelton was selected, the band was selected to perform at the Rose Bowl Parade in California. So I thought I would like to bring that into the patch. And she suggested a rose, and not a flat one, sort of a three-dimensional rose. And it was kind of tricky to work on, but it came out real well. We all helped to do our own patch and our own thing, and then we all worked on the border in the end to bring it all together. And I want my children and grandchildren to know that I was involved in the quilt, and I'm very proud to have done it.
I'm Danielle Donyan, and I was part of the Bicentennial Quilt, and I have chosen to do my house, which is a historical house, Victorian. And the reason is because I believe in history, and I wanted to illustrate the house in the Bicentennial Quilt. We're very proud of living here, and so I wanted to get involved. And Marilyn Sly was the coordinator. She was the president of the Friends of the Library,
and decided that it would be wonderful to do a project like that. And she got involved with the commission, and they convinced the commission to go ahead with it, and they said yes. So then she found the instructor, a lady from Guilford who is also a quilter, and she came to give us lessons every week. So it was a fun project. We met a lot of people. We couldn't meet each one separately because it was a big group and we were there to work. Right. Now, as far as the procedure, it was very interesting because it's a applique quilt, and we learn all the techniques. And it's also great because you do embroidery. The detail is done with embroidery, like the little moldings and things like that, to bring it out. And as far as the colors and everything, we picked what we wanted. There was nobody told you what you should be choosing for fabrics. And I just love to be part of it.
I'm Diane Kathleen Reed Jowdy. Today is March 10th, 2006. I'm here in the mill, my home for 50 years, to talk about my mother, Kathleen Reed, who worked on the Bicentennial quilt in 1976. She and my father, Winston Reed, were members of Shelton's Bicentennial Commission. They jointly took part in projects. My father was involved with placking and dating the oldest houses, along with Jeanette Lamacchia, and my mother worked on the quilt. She hadn't been a quilter, although she had always sewn a lot of my clothes. I have a brother, but she didn't try to make stuff to make him wear. But Mother had not done quilts as far as I ever remember, and I would have remembered that.
scholar bachelor, and I have been living in Shelton since 1972. I became interested in working on the quilt in '75 in preparing for the bicentennial year, the next year. So I believe I saw it in the paper where they were asking for people to come and work on a quilt. And I decided to come down and see what it was all about. My particular patch was this one here, which was the Birmingham Corset Company, established in 1892 to 1898. And my interest in that was because I am a graduate of a costume design school in Boston, and I was always interested in fashion. The original sketch of the corset, and the fabrics were cotton, basically. This print was the actual block, the background of the patch. The corset itself, which would be this, was a beige taffeta, and with little brass gold beads to indicate the fastenings of the corset. The dress form, it was the green fabric, and the trim around the corset was the lace right here. And the rickrack was the stitching on the corset itself.
Excellent.
So basically those are the pieces of fabric that I used.
My name is Michelle Damon. I live in Cheshire, and this is my mom's square, Yvonne Meyer. I remember when she was working on this, I was about 12 years old. I had a Holly Hoppy doll, and she modeled her square after that doll. This fabric, I remember she had made a dress for me when I was 5 years old out of that, and I specifically remember her working on the little leather boot. She always liked the dolls from the colonial days and felt that this would be a good choice for a square for the bicentennial quilt.
My name is Virginia Shirola. I got involved in this quilting. My friend Yvonne, who's my cousin and my friend, called me one day and said, "You want to do some quilting?" And we decided to do it together. It was a good experience. We had fun. And the reason I picked this is that they wanted us to do something to do with Shelton and the factories. So I picked this one because I like the piano. Not that I play, but just like the idea of trying to do that.
My name is Joanna Learcheck, and about 30 years ago, in early '74, my husband and I saw a notice in St. Lawrence Church Bulletin that they were looking for people to be liaisons between a Bicentennial Commission for Shelton and local organizations, churches, and so forth. And so we volunteered. What we did was we ran a contest in Shelton for local artists to design a seal, a bicentennial seal just for Shelton. And this is the bicentennial seal. It was done by Rick Lanaro, who was a local artist. Later on during the commission meetings, someone, and I can't tell you who, suggested this quilt. And many women in the community did the different pieces of the quilt. Evelyn Terenzi and I worked on the bicentennial seal. I don't sew, I don't knit. This is my one and only quilting experience. And I remember putting in hours with my fingers sore, but it came out lovely, and so did the whole quilt. Also had a plate, a commemorative plate, and coasters made. They were then sold to people in the community at cost. And we used the bicentennial seal for those.
Hi, I'm Rita Torkowski, and the quilt patch I did was of the Bronson House up on Ripton Road. And I chose that Bronson House because I passed by it every day on my way home up north. And I just thought it simplified. It was a simple quilt square to do for me because I wasn't a real quilter. I think we first got into doing the quilt because I was in junior women's with Carol Holikowski and Pat Kreitner, who were really crafty people, and we sort of got involved together. Things I'd like to point out on the square are the windows, which I chose a little square pattern that actually had little squares to show the light, and actually had little flowers that looked like plants in the window. Also, I love the doorway because of the glass circles going down each side, and they really looked fancy. Also, I put some plants in that I had seen growing on either side of the house. The forsythia and the lilacs, and I used the French knots to show those flowers.
And why I did the white stitching, I don't know, but I think it just makes the house stand out.
And I appliqued the White Hills Baptist Church. I picked it because to me it's the one historical building in White Hills. And I'm not positive of how I learned about the quilt being made, but it could have been because we were taking quilt classes at the time at the Civic Club.
My name is Ruth Ovesny. I'm here. My sister took these two pictures of our farm that is seen from my front window of my house. And we used that to make the pattern for the block that is in the library quilt. And this is a nice snapshot of it. We had a quilting group started in Shelton, and then word got out about the Bicentennial quilt, and quite a few of us from the original quilt classes decided we'd like to be a part of it. And so we went to the library and got in on it, and we're very happy that I did.
Barbara Glover, born and brought up here, lived here all my life. I lived down off River Road, South Shelton. We had farms down there way back when. What I did as a square was the trolley cars that ran down the River Road
to Pine Rock Park, as it's known today, which was an amusement park back before or around the turn of the century, the 18th to 1900s. Trolley tracks specifically to go to Pine Rock Park is what I understand. There was an amusement park which is shown as a carousel on my piece, from which they also use balloon risings, apparently with people going for rides and so on and so forth. So that's why the gas balloon in my piece. It's very hilly in that area, so that's shown by different pieces of fabric as hills. Trolley cars ran along River Road, is shown at the bottom, and there is a fish stitched into the river. Shad fishing apparently was a big thing back in the old days, all up and down the rivers. So I tried to put into it a lot of the things that were going on early on in southern Shelton.
My name is Barbara Bartamelli, and I did the training. I found out about the quilt through the library itself. I've come in all the time with my children. And I've lived here since 1954 in Huntington. And it was just amazing to see all these women pick different subjects. And each one did something that they knew about, whether they lived on the farm or they had somebody that was around, or as Ann Zach said, she went to the school. So we all chose something, and it had to be something that had to have happened in Shelton, whether it was an old factory or a corset factory or the star pin factory or whatever. And it was just a great unity of friends and everybody from Shelton getting together and working on the quilt.
My name is Zeta June, and I also heard about this through going down to the library. At that time there was a Bicentennial, I think it was, and I picked up this particular one, which is the Pin Company. My grandfather, Arthur Schumer, worked in the Pin Company in the shipping department, and he spoke about how important these pins were, the hair pins, the snaps for sewing, and all the straight metal pins. And he spoke about how it was shipped all over the world.
one all centered around this beautiful thing. This quilt is 30 years old from the Bicentennial back in 1976. There are 44 different patches that comprise the quilt. The problem is the nice folks here in Shelton couldn't figure out all of the quilt knitters, the quilt makers. Who is Mary Robbins? Could they find Mary? And so what happens is they're spending these days trying to find the folks who put this beautiful thing together. This is also the line of choosing director of the library to say good morning to you. And I gotta say, there's a lot of history that is in this quilt. But part of the fun that you're having now is trying to remember that history and right straight from the source, isn't it?
Yes, a lot of it is original, and a lot of it's being remade, and some of it we don't know anything about.
Now, how successful have you been so far?
Probably about half the squares
Half the squares.
have been identified for either what it is, because they're not all clear, or who made them.
Now you've got you were telling me earlier, for example, we have on all the way over here on this side, you've got two from the Jones Tree Farm, and then the Strawberries. And like for example, this one just says, well, it says either A-L or R-L. You don't know who that is?
No, we don't.
No.
The problem is some of the quilters don't remember either.
Yeah, because back this is 30 years ago, and you said they're spending all this time trying to figure out the remaining patches, and then they want to get everybody together over the course of the next couple months and celebrate this beautiful quilt. So if you have any information, they want to salute this quilt, but they don't know. But there's a couple of patches missing, so to speak. There's a couple of pieces of history that need to be filled in. Tell me about that.
Some of the people that have done, the women that have done this, it's hard to find. They've either moved away from the city or died or something. And some of them don't have any names or initials on it, so we don't even remember who did them. And no records were kept of the people that did them, actually.
Just your memories.
Just for memories, yes.
When they called you, or better yet, how did you find out that they were going to do this sort of reunion?
Mary Raza, who was the instigator of all this, she belongs to Shelton, and I guess she's interested in the history, and she found out about the quilt, and so they decided, because it was 30 years old, that they were going to try to get everybody together and bring it back out again and try to preserve some of the history.
So they called you?
So they called me.
And you were easy to find because you're here.
Very easy, and my full name is on the books.
Unlike some others.
Unlike some
and
others, yes.
What do you think of all this?
I think it's wonderful. I think it's good for our children and our grandchildren to be able to see this. And if they take it to the schools, perhaps some of the kids can get involved and really know what some of the places are. Because when you look at the quilt, you can see Jones's Tree Farm, you can see White Hills, you can see Bardoshi's, which isn't there anymore. These are things that we remember and we like our children to remember.
We're all done. Thank you. We could talk that through.
Yep.
And there good response over the past couple of weeks, because here's the thing. There are 44 different patches, beautiful patches, all depicting part of Shelton's history. Or this one, Talcott. Who's Talcott? Who's Mrs. Talcott? Is it T. Talcott? We don't know. Is it two T's or one T? That's what they need to find out. So they're doing all this research and calling all the quilters who quilted this 30 years ago. They found one right here. Bucker DeMelli, we say good morning to you.
Good morning.
And you did the train that goes for Shelton here. When they called you up a couple of weeks ago, said we were going to salute this wonderful quilt from 30 years ago, what did you think?
I thought it was wonderful to get back with everybody and to see the quilt once again.
Because the reasoning for you contributing to this quilt back in 1976 was pretty nice, speaking of future generations.
Yes, I was hoping that someday my grandchildren and great-grandchildren will have something to remember me by as putting something into the town.
And keep in mind, when they put this together 30 years ago, they say, they haven't really brought it out that much. I mean, they bring it out from time to time, but they haven't really saluted it. And now they really want to make up on lost time, and that's why they're doing all the research. One of the folks who does that would be Karen Jensen, right over here. We say good morning to you.
Good morning.
She runs the website. And how has the research gone in finding 44 different quilters from 30 years ago?
Well, right now we've found about half of the quilters. And when we get the information updated, I'm putting it on the website. And you can see that at www.plumlibrary.org.
There you go. If you got any information, if you have any thoughts or knowledge or anything that they can help finding the missing quilters, they'd love to hear from you, Darren and Sonia.